All right, welcome to the Gritty Podcast, folks. I am your host, Brian Call, and I'm joined by my brother, the Gritty Broman. How are you, Brent?
I'm well. Thank you.
You don't look so well. Brent's got leprosy all over his lips.
It's not leprosy. It's called a cold sore, which every person who has last name Call is quite familiar with them.
Yeah, our whole family got cursed, I think by our mother. I'm not sure.
I've never seen her with a cold sore, though.
But every child pretty much has. I have bad cold sores.
Whenever the weather changes, I get a small cold sore, minimum. And if I'm terrible, if I have a big fever,
it's really gross. It's pretty disgusting.
I'm trying to cover it up with the
It is herpes, after all, of some type.
Yeah, it's herpes.
I haven't had a cold sore in a long time. I actually use a medication that I get from the doc.
Zavarox.
No, it's like a pill. I don't know what it is.
Oh, you got a pill now.
Valtrex, I think. Maybe is what it's called. But I need to use it like once every other year now.
Huh.
And for some reason, at first I had to, it was chronic. They just got real bad. So then I started taking the little medication when the first onset came. And I get dehydrated. It was always when I was hunting, windy, cold, hot. You get dehydrated, and then boom, they blow up. Anyway, I took the meds for, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks at a time, every time it came, and then they disappeared for like 2 years.
See, when you have luscious pillow lips like these, they're high maintenance. They require a lot of work and effort.
Right.
But I have a question. Mm-hmm. How come prescription pills all sound like evil wizards?
Valtrex?
Zavarox.
I don't know. That's a good question. Today's podcast is with our good friend, Ryan Bassham from Sitka Gear. And Ryan's been on the podcast a few times. We actually recorded this months ago, and we're actually dipping into some stock footage from a long time ago. we toyed around with doing a Mountain Ops podcast, but it's just trying to fit that in logistically doesn't work. So we're reappropriating some of those shows because we had some great conversations with people into the Gritty Podcast. So
you were in all of them anyways.
Yeah, this is a really, really entertaining, good show with Ryan. He talks about clothing and what he does at Sitka, and I think it could be it's a useful show. Before we get into the show with Bassham, I wanted to read a few comments about the last film we released, which is part 5 of the TAR series. So for those who haven't been following along, Ryan Lampers and I went to New Zealand along with Luke Dusenberry, who helped film it. And between Luke and I, we captured a bunch of footage of a 5-part video series that we created of the TAR hunt. And it's pretty cool stuff. The last hunt happens in a walk-in area. Ryan and I actually called Remy Warren up on the phone because we only had like 2 days before we had to fly home. And we're like, hey, we're still in New Zealand. We finished this epic like backcountry mountain hunt, but is there any place we can hit for a day? You know, and so Remy gave us some tips. We headed out to one of his walk-in areas, did a little foot hunt, and we killed 2 giant bulls, big bulls, and packed them out, and then caught our airplane flight out of New Zealand like the next morning. It was pretty quick and dirty hunt, but just goes to show what you can accomplish in New Zealand without any kind of drop camp with a chopper. You just rented a car and drove, and the opportunities were everywhere. We kind of wish we wish we had brought our bows in for that last hunt, but based on what we had experienced before, we thought they were going to be at the top of cliffs and mountains, and we were just trying to, get in there and get something. And then we got there, and there were tar everywhere, and we were within 30 yards of a bunch of bulls as we were packing out, where you could have easily done it with a bow and arrow. It would have been really fun. So
my wife had zero interest in hunting those when she saw the first 4. But once she saw the 5th one, she's like, yeah, we're going. There's grasslands.
I think it was a little intimidating for people to see the Southern Alps and the mountains that we were hunting in with the snow and the cliffs and everything. And then, so it was kind of nice because you got to see juxtaposed to that, this grassland rolling hill kind of hunt where you could bow hunt it, and it's a lot more. And anybody could do it, of any fitness level, really. It's a great show, especially for those who are a little intimidated or maybe aren't as agile as they used to be, or aren't as fit as they'd like to be, it's a totally doable hunt if you check out that last video. But some of the comments were cool. Michael Morales wrote, that looks like a great hunt you guys are on. Ryan looks like a guy that used to deliver bait to Sportsman's Warehouse in Vancouver, Washington, which is exactly accurate.
It might have been him.
I pray someday I'll make it to New Zealand. Have a great year and stay safe. Christopher Benfield, my friend Christopher Benfield, he wrote, as I was putting Portland bee balm on my lips here at work, ... I died laughing. Free range, non-GMO bees. By the way, I don't know if it's just a thing with Idaho, but I was hunting elk in Idaho opening week of the archery season. Walked into like a random sports store and or gas station, I think it was, and there's Portland bee balm. And so I grabbed a couple more while I was there for those free range bees. I mean, let's think about those
free range non-GMO bees.
Yeah.
Brian. Come on.
So thanks, Christopher. And then Scott Wilson, he wrote, good effort, fellas. Although my mate Josh and Dan do it in gum boots and an old 303. Chur. So
what's chur?
Dude, I don't know. This is obviously a Kiwi who wrote this. And I have a hard time. I assume gum boots are just some plain old rubber boots. And there's no doubt we ran into some tough SOBs over there.
I just Googled chur, and it says, in parentheses, here's a drink. So it's like cheers. It's like saying cheers.
Oh.
Chur.
Okay. There you have it, folks. We're just stabbing. They taking guesses
We're not
in the
educated.
dark.
We're, we do what we do.
And then Jack Lindsay wrote, great series, team. Glad the Alps made you work for those bulls. Wondering what camera you guys did most of your filming with. Cheers. So, Jack, we used a Sony A7 III is what we used. Mm-hmm. It's got the newer battery. It's got great focus capabilities. So a lot of the color we're able to capture and the clarity is based on our camera settings. You know, whether which picture profiles and color correction in post. We film kind of in S-Log, just real flat, mm-hmm. and then add the color later.
I had a question because I'm currently going through some of our older footage and stuff and some of the old hunts that we've gone over.
Yeah.
And some of it looks really killer, like some of the stuff from Prince of Wales.
Yeah.
And I know that's a different kind of camera. How come you ditch that camera?
Actually, the Prince of Wales footage that you're editing right now is an A7S II. It's basically the same camera with the old crappy battery.
Oh, okay.
You know, it's got some other things that are a little different about it, but overall, it's the same. Now, if you step back to the old POW footage,
2015,
with Chad and I, now you're dealing with a Canon 70D mm-hmm. crop sensor camera, and that footage looks great. Looks really good. I always liked that look. It was 24 frames per second, 70D. And it was good.
I like
glass.
That camera.
It gave me. I liked the footage I got out of it actually, but it doesn't have the low light capabilities mm-hmm. and the range.
That's the first camera I ever got. Canon 70D.
Yeah,
it's what they filmed the series House with, folks.
There you go. So here we are. Just a brief update. We're giving away binos today,
mm-hmm.
and we have selected a name from the email list. So if you've signed up to the email list, we just randomly selected a name off of MailChimp, which is what we use to send out our emails with. Brent selected a name. Now, he says we can't announce the email address, and that's probably correct.
Yeah, so we don't know who's won, but we are sending them an email.
Yeah, so we don't know the name of the person. We just know the email that they used. So we're sending them an email. And then when we find out who the winner is, we'll have them come on the podcast or get back in touch with us and stuff. So, but we'll keep you posted on who the winner is. Mm-hmm. I'm heading back out to elk hunt today for 2 weeks solo. Cousin Ben's going to show up once or twice for a couple of days on a weekend, but pretty much I got 14 days or 10 days. I'm gonna get out there and try to kill a bull elk. The fan came on, so sorry about that, folks. So that's the plan. I just got back from Kodiak. I had to take a little break from my elk hunt to go to Kodiak. It was rough.
You had to.
Yeah, had to.
Oh, man, that's the worst.
We actually, Heartland Bowhunter, Huntsucker and Sean, they were up there hunting goats with Cole Kramer. Right as they came off the mountain, Casey Harbertson and I went up because we drew tags for Kodiak, went up with Cole. And you have to have a guide. And so if you're going to have a guide, why not Cole Kramer?
Mm-hmm.
And we hunted goats with Cole, and that's a great hunt. We got great footage. We're going to share that hunt, down the road. But for now, I mean, it was a pretty cool trip.
They're sweet-looking goats,
Goats are
too.
incredible. Goats are incredible. Tar and mountain goats are nothing alike.
Nothing alike.
Other than
mountain goats look like gorillas with horns. Like when they're moving, they look like gorillas.
Look like a gorilla?
It does.
Yeah.
It does.
mean, tar have a beefy gorilla look, but they're kind of like a pony too.
Mm-hmm.
Like they remind me of a pony, the way they trounce around.
No, mountain goats make me think of a primate.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's just the shape of their fur on their bodies or what, but
gorilla.
A Himalayan tar, it does not give me a gorilla. I don't know.
It's more like a grizzly bear with horns.
Yeah.
They're different, but personality-wise, they're really different too. So we'll get into that on another show. What else? We got a Mountain Ops code. Use the code GRITTY, get some free shipping, or we're going to throw out another discount here, hopefully 10 or 20% off. Sissy sticks, use the code GRITTY, get 15% off a pair of Sissy sticks, which are just trekking poles that we love. They're the carbon fiber up top, aluminum on the bottom. That way you get the durability of the aluminum while you still can take advantage of the lightweight of the carbon. Everyone I've put them in the hands of has loved them. And we beat the hell out of them on the bear hunt, and then Ryan and I used them on the tar hunt, and we put him through some serious paces. And
I want to talk to Ryan about why he holds trekking poles the way he holds trekking poles.
He uses them like a cane or something.
Like a cane.
We need to talk.
They're super short.
I don't
know. Is he just frugal and doesn't want them to break?
I don't know.
But it concerns me.
It's a technique. If you watch Lampers use his poles, it's like, Brent's looked at all the footage. It's like, what's he doing? I don't know. I think that's it. Anything else we need to announce? Right now, you can still win a truck with Corey Jacobson, our buddy Corey, which, by the way, those podcasts we just did with Corey were a big hit. Everybody really liked them. We got some great comments from that. And I loved subjects like the one we talked about, more about life, because they're applicable to everyone, whether you're interested in hunting or not. And usually the best email messages and the most in-depth or meaningful messages I get are after we do a show like that, where we kind of just dive into, I think you titled it "Everyone Suffers." And I
had a hard time coming up with the title for that.
It was a really sad title in some way.
Well,
I read it later as I was off, and Brent was in charge of getting
my
stuff
option
out.
was "Everybody Suffers," or I had it down to "How to Suffer."
Yeah.
And I thought, I could not break away. I called Mom and I called some other people, and I spent like an hour trying to come up with a name.
Yeah.
And
no, it's good. I mean, it's true. So that was good stuff. But you can, if you go and buy the Elk 101 University, use the code GRITTY. I think you save
$20.
$20 off the course.
And you get 20 entries.
And you get 20 entries to win the truck. And then if you buy Mountain Ops Ignite Bugleberry, which is in partnership before the end of the month, because just for September only, it's a cool flavor. Cousin Ben's favorite new flavor.
It's the weirdest flavor. It's a total corkscrew for your mind.
So that flavor, you get that, and that also gets you entries to win the truck.
Yep.
And they just gave away the General, the truck they had on the last giveaway to a dude. It's super cool to be able to give trucks away.
Yeah.
But you can be entered to win, and so if you're going to get some product anyway, go for it.
Yeah.
So do that, and let's get on with the show.
Sounds good.
Stay gritty, friends.
All right, guys. So we are sitting in the podcast studio today with none other than one of the most interesting men and hunters in the world, our good friend, Mr. Ryan Bassham. We're back again for this second take of discussing what I felt like was the elephant in the room that we really didn't even address. Right. What was that, Brian?
You're an employee at Sitka Gear.
Yeah.
You're a Sitka fan. in
Big time.
the
Sitka tribe, Sitka gets sick for it.
Sitka is life.
Sitka life.
Yeah.
So that's an obvious. We need to tap into that. Ask
Heck
you
yes.
questions.
Heck yes.
Get your expert knowledge
Totally.
on all things Sitka.
But before
I will discuss as much of it as I can.
Which employee do you hate the most?
Oh man,
Who's your least-
now?
who's your least favorite today,
Yeah.
based on current events, and who's your favorite forever?
Gosh,
You know.
I know everybody would love for me to be like, oh yeah, this person's just a total DB. But I actually enjoy working with everybody a good bit.
awesome.
There's obvious frustrations.
Well played.
There's obvious frustrations that we all have with each other, but that's part of being a family, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we've got a really talented crew of individuals. So
Yeah, I think
right.
that was probably one of the best political answers we
well,
could have
well
had.
done.
Yeah, like
We'll
you
talk
have
some more offline.
you have a future in politics. You just made everybody love you for a question that we were really just trying to pull out.
Really want to throw someone under the bus.
Truth is,
You
be
could have
told,
gone for Brinker.
Yeah.
Bro's
Bro's not even on the roster anymore.
Who's not on the roster
it's
anymore.
true.
Yeah.
Could have.
You could have.
Gone there.
There's
We
a
still
list.
Can go there.
Not
Yeah.
on the roster now.
No, but he's down some country road right now.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Singing his heart out.
Singing his heart out. No,
Stabbing his leg.
I know from Brian.
I love you, David.
Brian and I have a really meaningful and deep relationship far beyond the gear of Sitka. It's with you guys. It's Brad, Harrison, Abby. You've got a new guy that just started. I'm excited to get to know.
Totally.
Barclow, like so many
Right.
all-stars, in our opinion, of people that we are really good friends with.
Right.
Brian talks about this a lot. He says, listen, I work with certain companies. Obviously, the how well the gear performs is a big deal for me. But in reality, just as important, and in some cases for him more, and me too, is
Sure.
the people,
100%.
right? That's what makes
Absolutely.
the product.
The
That's what makes the
people
brand.
and what they stand for.
What they
Exactly.
stand
If
for.
you don't believe in them and can't get along with them, it doesn't work.
Yeah, it does
Just-
not
It
work.
won't work.
It's kind of like this outfit he's wearing right now. It just doesn't work.
I like it.
I know.
I'm
You
okay
two,
with it.
I know.
Yes.
You two are on the same team.
I think I wear this every once in a while.
Everybody
There's
listening.
a story behind this.
Oh, boy, I bet there is.
I just haven't. I'm so impressed with the new line of lifestyle wear that you guys are bringing to
Good.
market.
Good.
I wear a lot of it. I'm very happy with it. There's just one piece that I haven't been able to figure out, and that's either the NASA suit, the Mandarin cover.
You know what's funny? Jordan's normally young and hip.
Right.
You know, normally.
Usually.
But on this one, he just lost it. So
Couldn't wrap your head around it, really?
I just couldn't.
No, and so
And I put it on.
So I walk
Yeah.
in. I walk into the building and I'm wearing this, and I like it.
Right.
I genuinely like it. Dude.
It's super
It's got
comfortable.
pockets.
Oh gosh,
You see that?
Oh,
It's
yeah.
got-
Oh, and
it's got.
you got more pockets.
Brent,
up
can we
there?
get this
I know,
man
and
a
then you got
runway?
pockets here
I mean,
too.
what
Yeah.
level? Are you
Like-
first floor, second floor?
Yeah,
Boom.
America's. Yeah,
I mean,
And the
whatever your
snaps,
comfort
like,
level
check
is.
this out.
oh my gosh. Okay,
He's
Superman.
here. He has arrived.
Yeah, and you can just wear it.
I'm not denying.
It's,
I mean, it's
I'm
got
not
its.
denying
I mean,
the functionality of it.
dude,
I'm not
does this not look like on point?
like Backstreet Boy? Like it takes me
Well-
back to Backstreet
Hey.
Boys.
Okay.
oh, there he goes. Bye.
So, what we're dealing with here is,
Right.
I come in and Jordan says,
Are you ready for a photo? I gotta prove it. Go ahead.
and Jordan says to me, "That shirt looks stupid," something like that. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, "Yeah, no, I'm not behind
Yeah.
that shirt." And so I wore it for a couple hours around the office, and
Right.
he's just like, "Yeah, they Sitka just did wrong on that."
Okay, you ready? I'm gonna put
So
this up
I
on
go
screen.
home. Okay, it bothers me, right? I'm
Right.
like, maybe Jordan's right. I don't know. I mean, I really liked it. It felt good. It's so comfortable.
Sure.
It's got all this functional, and comfort. Looks stylish.
Right.
So I'm like, it keeps me from wearing it for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
One day,
I got to.
one day I'm in the house and I'm getting ready to come to work and I'm looking in my closet and I see this shirt there and I'm like, you know what? Jordan's wrong. It's
It
like
is too cool.
Jordan is wrong on this. This shirt, it is awesome. And I'm going to wear it. I don't give a dang what he says. I put this shirt on. I come to the office. I walk in the door. The gal's at the front desk. I love that shirt. I come up the stairs. Matt Davis, who's a super fly.
He's
I mean,
pretty-
he's a handsome
Can you
fella.
tell Brian needs words of affirmation?
And he goes, dude, I love that shirt. That's a cool shirt. Few other people, I'm like, yeah, it's got these pockets right here. It's not.
Right.
Dude, a half hour later, Jordan shows up, and he's like, oh, that shirt again. I'm like, oh, wait a minute.
I'm out.
Wait a minute.
Let's go to the replay.
80% of the people in the office
That's
complimented
funny,
me on this shirt.
Yeah.
It's one of our most popular.
and I'm sure it
so
is.
Bassham, what
Yeah.
that means is that Jordan is wrong.
Here's
I'm gonna let you guys bicker
yeah.
amongst yourselves.
Here's
on
my
it.
thing, Ryan.
Yeah.
When I see things and they remind me of things, it's hard for me to remove
I get
those
that.
things, right?
I get that.
So what I'm going to show you all
right,
up
let's
here,
hit us
anybody
with
who's
it.
watching the podcast, or if you want to go and watch it later,
You're gonna want to see.
he
this.
looks like Nick Carter. He looks like a Backstreet Boy. I mean, I could go here, right here, this gentleman.
That's denim, though.
Yeah. Well,
Thank
so
you,
is
Ryan.
this. So
That's
is this.
denim.
And he also looks like this. I mean, I can't get over the Backstreet Boys from like me growing up. Now listen, I did not listen to these guys. I know a lot of girls
Wow.
did. With that being said,
Yeah.
while I may not agree with the piece, and obviously 80% of the people did agree with him,
True.
build his confidence, help his ego, which doesn't need much help.
That needed affirmation.
That is the only that is the only thing
It's just because it's warm now.
It is
that I would say is this the piece that I can't
Well,
get behind. Every single piece.
And I
after
want to
that-
do justice.
Tell
to...
me what this piece is called.
Oh gosh, dang it! Why did you ask me that?
Yeah, I thought you
knew it.
already
I was,
Googled it.
Hold on a second.
Wait, he's in charge of
I
ducks.
want to. Yeah, I do the duck stuff and the deer stuff now.
Yeah.
Hold on.
So when Brian came in that day wearing the shirt, this was his theme song.
Was this his theme song? I believe it.
What this was?
Oh, I'm too sexy.
Oh, that's true.
He was feeling it.
100% his theme song, walking into the Mountain Ops headquarters.
So Gina Warner is actually our PLM that
I'm too sexy for my
is behind
shirt.
our everyday line. And I've got to give her a lot of credit. So, like, when you actually look at some more of the popular workwear pieces out there in the outdoor world right now, that silhouette, that design is incredibly popular. Highland. I was wanting to call it Harvester. I knew that was wrong. It's the Highland overshirt. So it's meant to be. So it's not like an actual shirt. Like a lot of guys in the office,
it's kind of a coat.
like I would throw it over the top of this,
Right.
and go. It's that extra layer. Like I don't need an insulated like down jacket.
It just
But-
is the right level of comfort,
Yes.
warmth.
Yes, and it's incredibly
It's
durable.
smooth,
Style.
durable. The
I mean,
style
it's
is not
something.
so much the issue.
It happens to be stylish, but it checks all the other workwear boxes first.
That's why I like the Sitka comfort line. What do you call it? The
Everyday.
everyday
wear.
lifestyle.
Here's also some truth.
Everyday wear.
Yeah.
Brian made me put it on. And he said, I want you to put it on and I want
And?
you to go walk. And I did it. And guess what everybody said? Jordan, you look dang good in it.
So you start wearing
They
it.
said, I don't know why you're giving Gritty so much crap, but you look really good in it and you should rock it.
It ups everybody's game.
Yeah.
You can work in it, and hey,
I got to admit,
I also
when I
feel-
first saw it, I was like, this is something Sloan Brown would wear.
This is totally Sloan
Sloaner
style.
would wear
Yeah.
it.
And I always worry about when I cross into Sloan land.
If I'm
'Cause
going
it's
to the
like-
hippie side,
A little
Yeah.
hippie metro.
Austin had an
You know?
effect on him.
Yeah.
Love you, Sloan.
huge effect.
I got to maintain a certain level of, I guess, grittiness.
Grittiness.
Yeah.
Yes.
True. Very
You know?
true.
No, it
So
definitely.
I don't want to get too soft looking. I don't want to be soft.
So there you go, guys. Anybody watching the podcast, I've got on.
Exactly.
And you
For
know
those
what?
watching and listening,
I'll own
definitely
it.
check out our everyday
Nice
line.
pockets.
It's not meant to just be like lifestyle wear. Like the intent behind that line is 100% like workwear, travel, like anything that you do that extends outside of the hunt itself. Like this is that other Sitka piece that allows you to go out and get all those other things done for the hunt.
Quick question for you: Who wears it better?
We're going to do a poll.
Are we gonna do a poll?
We might have
No
to go to the
polls.
polls.
Polls take too long. I just want one man's answer.
Gosh, I'm trying to be PC. I almost slipped
Don't
up
be
and said
PC.
something I was gonna
Don't be
regret.
PC.
You have to bleep out the whole sentence. Gosh, man, you're both looking at me with like goo eyes. Like Ryan,
This
pick
could
me.
determine.
Don't
Choose me.
fail this one.
This could determine our friendship.
I think Brent pulls it off the best.
Oh, the
curveball! There it is.
Damn political
Hey,
politician.
correct
Dad,
answer.
you see how I played that?
Seriously,
Also, these pants right
Pants
here.
are awesome.
These are the back 40 pants. Is that what they're called?
Back 40s. Yep.
These I
how'd
love.
you come up with the name?
Brian, give the
A stretchy pants pose. Stretchy pants.
No, it's
So-
just this is what
It's a workwear
they
pant.
are.
So you know how you have like, it's like it's a whitetail reference. Like
Yep.
it is a workwear pant. You know that back 40, those 40 acres.
Yep.
So it's a reference to that.
I like them.
And that is like everybody in the office will say that that's the only pant I wear, and that would be accurate. I don't even wear jeans anymore. Like,
Okay,
Haven't got to experience those.
here's the
they're
thing, though. Here's the thing. The loud pants. What are those called?
The territory pants.
Oh, the territory pants.
The
swishy
flexibles.
swish?
They kind of remind me of Piranha Zions or something like that.
That territory pant, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why,
Mm-hmm.
but I can't wear those.
Fit?
Okay. Fit's not quite on.
Here's what I love about the brand. This is what I love.
And my wife cut them and hemmed them to try to get them to fit and stuff. They
was that?
But there are people who won't take them off because they love how they feel.
For sure. But here's the good thing too, and I tell people this all the time. But like, we love getting feedback like that. I love getting feedback like that because we're not gonna sit here and pretend that Sitka's perfect. We think that we are perfecting it continually.
Yeah.
And so the more feedback we get like that, awesome. Bring it. Like, go back and go
like the
into
back
lab
40. I almost never take them off. I have been a big fan of Piranha Zions for years. I wear them all the time because it's like walking around in your underwear or pajamas.
Sure.
I mean, whatever.
Comfy.
And so when Sitka came out with a few items, got me pretty pumped.
Right.
And like I said, Jordan and other guys wear the territory pant.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, they don't fit my. I have a large gluteus maximus.
Yep, so do I.
And giant hamstrings. Like, I have giant thighs. So when I put those on, I can't, and I have 30-inch inseam. So I got short, chubby legs.
Right.
So when you put on a certain, it's hard for me to find pants that fit in general.
I get it. Totally get it.
I kind of want to jump into the evolution of Sitka. You think about like the caveman, and then the guy started just hitting a rock and figuring out, oh, this thing makes a wheel, and all of a sudden now you've got humanity. We're sitting here with cell phones and tablets. Right. Sitka has evolved a lot. We talked about this earlier at lunch. 14 years.
Approximately
14 years Sitka has been in operation, and a lot has changed in just 4 of those.
Oh, gosh. Big time.
Can we kind of talk about that 4-year shift for you guys? This being part of it. Yeah. The everyday
I
wear.
can speak most accurately to the previous 2 years.
Yeah.
2.5 years that I've been with the company. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's been, and it's interesting as you look into each category of the business or pursuit from a hunter's perspective, how that's all evolved. But I mean, where you want to start?
I think so. For a long time, Sitka has always been perceived as, with the open country, more of the stone.
Sure.
Still with the theory behind the breakup and what that's doing for an individual against an animal's eye and looking at us, to the launch of OptiFade.
Right.
I really feel like, and that was a project that I know the team's been working on for years.
Right.
That launched 2 years ago.
Oh, Subalpine.
Excuse me. Yeah. Did I say OptiFade?
You did. Yeah.
Subalpine in OptiFade.
Sure.
The Subalpine line, game changer.
Game changer. And I wasn't particularly close to it. I mean, obviously, John Barclow and David Brinker had the most involvement on that as the category team at the time. But, holistically, when you look at OptiFade and what it is, the tagline of that is the science of nothing. And so it's taking different perspectives. It's saying, okay, well, how do we trick an animal? That's our goal at the end of the day, right? And so there's lots of different ways in which you can do that. You can't just be good at one of those things. But when you look at the OptiFade patterns and study the eyesight of ungulates versus avian species and different engagement distances, trying to engage on an animal within 60 yards versus something that's doesn't have as much terrain to work with, and you're going to pursue out to 100 plus yards. Macro versus micro patterns come into play, and those color tones and how ungulates perceive those color tones differently from our vision. All that came into account, and I can't remember how many renditions of Subalpine they went through. It was like 30 something different approaches before they finally came up with what is now Subalpine. And the specific design around that is based on ungulates vision and engagements under 60 yards. And in true to the name, check that out. That's a throwback.
Much has changed since the early
below Timberline. And so very specifically, the way the systems around the Subalpine pattern were built is to engage elk and mule deer as your primary western big game species that are hunted in the early season with that pattern as kind of that key focal point. And Barklow can speak, much more to that. And I'd definitely say get him on to nerd out with you on the subalpine pattern. But like the intent behind it was that in the amount of time, I mean, we're talking years of preparation before that was finally a finished product that we felt good about and saying, yep, our consumer's going to love this. Yep. Let's go full force and put it out there for them. And it's absolutely, it's crushed. But the open country pattern is still done incredibly well.
Oh, yeah.
So it's interesting to see how people use those patterns specific to
when
their
they're
pursuit.
filled.
Yeah.
What's interesting, too, the history that I don't think a lot of people know, and I think Brian's about to touch on it, is that when Hart and Harrison got together,
right,
they started this thing, that idea of let's make some great products. They were using other patterns at the time. Mountain, I call it Mumukri. Looks like, I mean, it's an interesting pattern. They also were using, I think, ASAT I saw in one piece.
Right.
And so when they started the company 14 or so years ago, they were building the gear, but they were using a different pattern until later when Gore came on board. OptiFade was introduced into the same system. Right. And then from there, we have the new Sitka that's evolved over this time that you just spoke to, the OptiFade and the subalpine that has now been introduced within the last 2 years. But Brian, I think you want to show us.
Yeah, Brent, make sure this audio's on this
He's
iPhone.
About, if anybody is watching the podcast, what you are about to see is Brian Call. If anybody ever says, Brian Call just switched to Sitka because of blah, blah. I don't care what you say. This guy was wearing the OG, him and Anthony.
Way back
when this was mountain mimicry. And,
check this out.
This
Cousin
is cool.
Ben. We were wearing Realtree hardwoods
That's crazy.
on our Sitka gear. Check this out.
Damaged. He usually.
So this is look at that.
Had to get that Sitka lip on there. Notice the full-on hat.
The Realtree bottoms.
I
love it.
Am I wearing the Sitka today?
Look at young Brian. Look at that. Look at how youthful he was before he got old and decrepit. Look at those shoes. Were those slip-ons?
Were those moccasins?
Were those moccasins?
They were budget shoes.
But you could afford Sitka.
Another thing about Anthony is that he's lactose intolerant.
100%.
I'm telling you, Anthony would wear this camo.
Yeah.
Because they're Sitka, even at back then at 90% gear.
Yeah.
That's what we were wearing, the 90% pant and jacket. They cost a lot, right?
Sure.
For us especially.
Sure.
So we're rocking this like King's camo, whatever
Cotton
we get
Poly.
at like Cotton Poly, whatever we got at like
Sportsman's Warehouse.
or something. So we're rocking that stuff, right? And we're going into the country. Well, Ben and I buy. We invested some Sitka. Ben was too poor yet. All he had was a Sitka hat. The rest of the gear he didn't have yet. But Anthony and I, we were on that train early.
Right.
I actually wore it because you buy the gear to use it. Anthony is so frugal. He buys it and keeps it in a box. And this is no lie. Year over year. And so he wears this all because he didn't want to wear out his Sitka.
Yeah.
And then on the last day or two, he's like, well, I should wear it because I own it. And then he rocks the Sitka. It was like,
funny, man.
Oh, it was hilarious. But you fast forward a number of years to what is out there and what it is today.
Sure.
And I remember that 90% feeling very cutting edge at the time.
Right.
And now looking back, I still have it, by the way.
That's cool.
And some
I was about to say,
mountain
hopefully
mimicry.
you kept it.
And
those are some pieces you don't want to let go.
Yeah, you don't want to get rid of that.
But it doesn't quite. It is not a real technical garment.
Right.
It really isn't. It's a durable garment, but it's not technical.
The evolution has been fantastic.
Yeah, off the chart.
100%.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Speaking to that a little bit more, you talk about the pattern, right? With what you guys now have done with subalpine, I feel like how that's really opened up a lot of doors for you guys, the hunters who
and
maybe
the adjacencies to it is pretty awesome too.
Yeah.
I mean, here we are about to, time of year where February, turkey season's coming, It actually works really stinking well for turkey.
We used it last year. We used it last year on our turkey hunt.
Yeah.
And what was interesting for us, and I've seen this over the last 2 years as I've used it regularly, is in early season and spring.
Yes.
And really close to August. And I've even used it deep into September on late season hunts as well. Man, it's interesting how those colors morph. So when you talk about, did you say 32 versions?
It was something like
something
that.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like
Barklow's got the exact
Yeah,
number.
Barklow just went the Barklow way, which is just I'm going to go full send on this 100,000 versions until we get it right.
Exactly.
It works flawlessly.
It's really awesome stuff.
Well, I just wanted to find out, what are top sellers right now in the big game line?
So what's crazy, and we see this every year, the Jetstream jacket.
That's a staple.
Dude, it is. It's a lady killer. Man, that jacket is always fantastic for us.
Is it in the solids or in the subalpine, or is it just even?
I'd have to go back and look at the numbers. I can't remember off the top of my head, but across all patterns and solid colorways in that particular jacket, I mean, some people have multiple Jetstream jackets. Like, oh, this is the one I hunt in. This is the one I, wear into town, or this. I mean, for whatever reason, the Jetstream is a huge one. Another one that does incredibly well for us is the Timberline Pant. I mean, that pant right there in most big game pursuit applications is a fantastic.
Especially later in the year.
Definitely. And then recently, one of my personal favorites, a lot of this may be perception of Ryan too. Man, the Apex pants and the Apex hoodie. I was honestly a little skeptical at first. I was like, wait, I don't quite understand. I started wearing it. It's a huge favorite of mine. But there's another product coming out here soon that is my new number one.
And do tell.
I can't tell.
Do tell.
I can't. I'm just going to tease it.
We're just going to hold that carrot out there for you.
So just get excited because it's pretty cool.
You kind of named all the same things, all the same gear I like. The Apex system, I was surprised.
It's really quiet. That merino component in there.
I was going to say, it's the quietness of it.
Strategically placed knee pads and even elbow pads. And that, which at first I was kind of like, but when you start hunting,
you and I both were like,
and you're making a stock.
When you're belly crawling for a big Montana mule deer early season, which I was on my belly a lot.
We were, for sure.
And those elbows, man, it was really nice to have that.
Definitely.
For a long time, Brian and I, we would take out our knee pads.
Right.
We're like, these are stupid. Take them out. I love knee pads now.
I will take them out and put them in other pants now if I can.
Yeah, so I think I actually do know a lot of people that once they get their pants that have the ability to, take in and out those knee pads, they'll say, for sure, I don't need these. After the many experiences that I've had, both in the Apex and in the Timberline,
right,
I'm not going without them.
You'd be glad you had them.
I'm glad that I have them, especially when you go into where I was doing some hunting in Texas, and there's a lot of cactus too.
Right.
I know you experienced that too on your coos deer.
Yep.
And so it's actually a really functional feature, and it's something that I think people disregard too quickly.
Right.
And it's something that's really essential.
Definitely.
Okay. So you named all the stuff but except you didn't float the rain gear, the outer shell.
So, I mean, you said 3.
So you only gave him 3, bro.
Look, I'm just I'm from the Northwest. Okay,
yeah,
I've hunted Prince of Wales.
But here's
I
the
like
thing,
Alaska.
I'm a
backpacker.
One of the best fabric ingredients we have at our disposal is Gore-Tex. I mean, so being a part of that WL Gore umbrella, I mean, Gore-Tex is what really that EPTFE fabric package and its application especially for anybody spending any kind of time in the outdoors. If you're going to be in a wet environment, it doesn't get better than Gore-Tex as far as breathability and keeping moisture out. That is top of the line. And I'm not just saying that because I'm part of the brand. It's just
absolutely.
It's
I feel like
line. And
it is top of the line outer shell rain gear.
Absolutely. And depending on the situation, the pursuit, I love our Dew Point series. I also love the Thunderhead as well. It's a little bit quieter fabric.
I like the Thunderhead. I struggle with the Thunderhead at times. That's more of to me of a luxury purchase.
It is.
If you already have everything else and you want more, and you have,
and that's not our lightest weight.
No, it's like day hunting from a cabin in POW with quiet. Yeah, but that garment is not the best when you're hovering at 28 degrees to 32, 35 degrees. For some reason, the heat transfer doesn't work well, and I get cold or damp in it when I
definitely
don't
has its
in those
intended purpose.
It does.
Yeah.
On the Gore-Tex thing,
yeah,
on the rain gear thing, apparently you're supposed to take care of it.
We learned something
like wash it.
Yeah.
And I've been using it 3 years.
A lot of people think that it's going to hurt the. You want to.
I kind of thought, back in the day, because you wash stuff and then it becomes not waterproof anymore. because it's got the DWS
Or
it's DWR.
Or you're like Ben.
So with DWR,
You're like Ben, and you'll never wash it because you barely wear it, and you're afraid that if you wear it, you'll ruin it.
Right. Yeah. I, on the other hand, wear it endlessly, get it dirty, muddy, and everything, and never wash it.
Right.
Certain types of waterproof garment.
DWR applications is what typically needs to be reapplied, and after X amount of washes, depending on the type of DWR, it loses its life, right? EPTFE, which is Gore-Tex, no.
Not the same.
Not the
In
same.
fact, it's good to wash it.
Correct. And I mean, and so the visual for people, the way Gore-Tex works, like the analogy I like to use, I got this from one of our sales reps, is think about there's a chain link fence between us right now, okay? Mm-hmm. I could take a ping pong ball and throw that ping pong ball through that chain link fence. But if you had a basketball on the other side and tried to throw it through the chain link fence, not going to happen. That's how Gore-Tex works. So moisture can move to the outside of the face fabric, but it can't come back in. Yeah. And when you wash it, it re-energizes that fabric package and makes sure that those pores stay clean.
Yeah, yeah.
And that way it functions properly. Yep. Otherwise it could, and I may not explain that as good as our product developers could, but that's
I honestly think you did a pretty dang good job.
Okay, so gaiters. I had the Thunderhead gaiters. Mm-hmm. Those were not good.
Fair enough.
Okay.
I know Barklow's working on some pretty cool stuff.
Now I use the Stormfront all season, and they were legit.
And just so everybody knows, 100%, can you explain just the difference in fabric and feel?
Yeah, the Thunderhead's sort of that waterproof and quiet, thicker fabric.
Right, it's got that soft face fabric.
And I'm not sure what happened, but somehow it just didn't. They fall down. They didn't
hold their structure as well.
Stay up in
so
structure
beyond the fabric, it was a design, potential improvement.
Where the Stormfront were money. Used them all through BC, and then later all my late season elk, mule deer, everything. And after hanging out with Barklow and spending time talking to Barklow, I also came to the conclusion that I like to wear my long Gore socks up to my knees. Then I like to have my gaiters on. Then I put my Timberline pant over
the gaiters.
Yep. And then I put my rain gear on the outside when needed.
Right.
But my gaiters are underneath my Timberline pant.
Exactly.
That is the way to hunt, dude.
That's the way to hunt. And most people are like, wait, that's not right.
That seems backwards.
Exactly.
You keep your gaiters. Your pants get wet, but they are of a type of fabric that dries so quickly it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
And your gaiters keep from getting thrashed because those pants seem to hold up with going through the bush in BC. Like they just get thrashed, but the pants they're fun. They get nubby,
right?
But they'll just keep going. I'm wearing the same pair of Timberline pant for 4 years on almost every hunt.
Those things are money.
They're
awesome.
Still going strong.
Awesome pants.
Now so I wear that over the gaiter. And the gaiter, though, a bunch of the guides up there riding horses, we're going through the bush. Their gaiter's on the outside of their Timberline pant. First of all, moisture can seep down, get behind your gaiter instead of the other way. But they're also loud. Right. Every step you take, because they're a harder shell. They're like a rain jacket, right? They're supposed to be.
Exactly.
And so they make noise. When your pants are on over the top of them, they don't make noise. And then what I noticed was the rain gear material, that hard shell material, it just seems to wear poorly compared to the Timberline pant. Right. Up against brush on horseback all day, every day in the willow brush. Just willows are brutal.
Yes.
And so
you can do some damage.
Man, I can't say enough about it. Your gaiters go on and your pants go over the gaiters. Period.
I recommend everybody try that scenario. And it may feel backwards, but Barklow, I mean, that's where I learned it as well.
I learned from Barklow.
Barklow was talking about that. I was like, I'm going to try it. It seems weird, but yeah, I mean, I'm sold. I'm sold. Yeah. It's the way to layer it for sure.
One of the things that I wanted to ask you was, let's talk about an entry-level guy that's coming in. I think we've covered a lot of great pieces that if somebody who is listening to the podcast, I think there's kind of this feeling that people have like, oh man, like if I'm going to buy some Sitka, it's usually one jacket and then I got to go get a bunch of other stuff. But if somebody was to come in entry level, and let's just say for early season purposes, what would you recommend to that person to say most cost effective, greatest product or system to build with the least amount of pieces that's going to cover you in a big way? What would that be?
So
Apex.
Also, Brent, was that too long of a question, and should I have been more concise?
We're keeping tally.
Okay,
Okay,
I'm just trying to.
So I would say this: early season. So let's define that. We're probably looking at temps of 70+ degrees. From a silhouette perspective, meaning the type of garment, there's really two that could work here really well. The Apex hoodie and the core lightweight hoodie. And the reason those are my go-tos, I mean, and honestly, like across category, meaning across pursuits, same thing for whitetail and waterfowl as well. Definitely for turkey hunting, that core lightweight hoodie is my go-to.
I agree.
But you got the built-in
But the
face
Apex
mask.
will do it all.
It will. It totally will. And so I like those as foundational pieces because as the season progresses, that's still a piece that would stay in your system.
Yes.
And for the big game pursuit of our business, I feel like it's most important to build your system from that first layer out versus waterfowl. If we were to discuss that, we immediately go to outerwear and that Gore-Tex piece because of what that pursuit entails. It varies, but specific to big game, the core lightweight hoodie and the Apex hoodie, like if you were to buy your first piece, I'd say start there, especially if you're early season hunting.
I was literally, so it's so funny that you say that because I was, my addition to this conversation was going to be that, but you covered it. One of my favorite pieces in the line that I think, and I don't know that people overlook it, but maybe they just don't understand how valuable it is that core heavyweight hoodie.
Yeah.
And the core lightweight hoodie, those two guys are phenomenally built, and I use them, as you described, effortlessly that way.
Sure.
It goes through me in all my seasons.
And it's all about moisture management. I mean, early season and your big game pursuits, you're wanting to make sure that moisture is wicking quickly and coming through the fabric and drying out fast. And those pieces, I mean,
I agree, but I've said this before, I sweat. I'm a sweater. When I walk or move and exert energy, I put out a lot of heat. So for me, when you start getting into the core heavyweight, stuff like that, it's just, it's too warm.
Right.
And I do better. I perform better with like an Apex hoodie with either a Jetstream vest or the puffy vest.
The Kelvin Light.
Kelvin Light vest.
Yeah.
So I'm a vest guy. So I like a light bottom, like the Apex.
The Apex
vest
plus a vest.
Yes.
I love that core
combo.
capture, and then being able to vent on the sides and also up top.
Sure.
I actually layer the same way he does.
I do the same thing.
If
Snyder would put on the core heavyweight and full length he struggled being cold. He runs colder than I do, a lot colder. So he would wear actual long sleeve, thicker core heavyweight setups, Jetstream jacket.
Sure.
I'm like,
I
wear that and I'm dripping with sweat halfway up the mountain.
No, I run hot. Like,
yeah.
So would you say? So you're saying that core light hoodie or the Apex on the top, right?
Yes, on top.
Usually next to skin, where you can add a bunch of stuff on top if needed as the season progresses. What about on the bottom? Are you Apex Pant, or are you saying Timberline? Timberline
for
2
early
hot?
season, for early season, Apex.
Apex, right?
Yeah,
it's quiet.
For early season.
And you guys came out with that Apex system last year.
Correct. And we also have the Apex pack, which is a lot more quieter than our previous packs. It's a good day pack. Obviously, it's not like a meat hauling pack.
You can wear that when you're stalking mule deer in Montana.
We test it.
I love it. I actually love it for just that day. 2 hour, 3 hour excursions. Right. It stays low. You can sneak under brush. I mean, it's really built for stalking animals.
It's straight up
that face
season.
fabric's really quiet. I mean, it is ideal for that scenario, and it's incredibly breathable in that merino package for that time of year.
So switching real quick to whitetail.
Yeah.
Truly, I believe.
Which is the absolute opposite spectrum.
Yeah, but I just got to say, there's not much to talk about here because I just don't think you
big
can
story
go,
this year, though.
I don't think you can go. There's something I've heard about how quiet it is.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. There is no other manufacturer, clothing builder in the market that I think builds a competitive product when it comes to your whitetail line. That's my personal feelings.
I also would add,
I'm biased,
it is absolutely.
You're extremely biased.
It's phenomenal. It's good stuff. It's a cut above the rest. And anytime you switch from, let's say, Sitka to another brand and try to pitch that brand as a whitetail brand, it just doesn't work.
It's tough.
It doesn't work.
Super
people
tough.
know. People in the know. Sitka owns that market right now.
Right.
I think
it's been-
Kuyu, First Light,
and it's just getting better.
Real Tree, they're just not in the game, man.
It's a really cool spot to be in. So we're getting to the point too where that system is becoming more modular and that all those pieces are fitting together a bit better than previously. So last year we launched ESW, which is early season whitetail. So that is our answer for the solution in the South of having that lightweight, super breathable fabric. We tested it. So actually most people don't know this, but Florida's got a deer season that opens up end of July in Florida. Wrap that around your head. He's going to be a little hot.
Wow.
And so we tested it down there as kind of part of our big media push last year. Performed incredibly well at that point it's going to be hot. And so we wanted to put it to the limits all the way to what we're doing this year around the science of sound story. And so this is really just more of a cool brand story, but very applicable to the whitetail category for us. But I mean, what other brand is going to do that? So basically, we actually went to enough of a scientific approach to bring in, deer biologists and scientists that study how deer hear and at what decibels they hear sound, and totally changed our Fanatic fabric package to make sure that little movements like if you're turning in the tree and that fabric is catching the bark behind you, can deer perceive that? What decibel
is that picked up on?
Yeah. And so we went through this in-depth scientific study on sound.
Bark Low
and
gave me the dirt on
awesome.
this.
And it's so
he gave
awesome.
me the deets.
And when you see when we start putting out a lot of the content around this and showing people what we did, it's going to
blow minds.
It's going to blow minds. It's above and beyond what's been done in the past to make sure that our consumers are getting the best
There's
possible.
been a lot of things done to try to eliminate scent.
Yeah.
Within hunting.
Sure.
Right. And I think, for the most part, scientifically, we've determined that that's kind of, in many ways, impossible.
It's a tough variable.
Or at least one that is very difficult to.
It is very difficult
to master, right?
Right. Unless
warmth and feel and comfort, and then silence, the sound.
Right.
There's a lot of improvement that can be made there across the board.
Right.
When it comes to removing scent, you're talking about, I think what people don't realize, and they don't realize this until they work with, let's say, a scent dog of some kind, or they see what a bear can do.
Right.
What animals can smell would blow our minds. Like, we can't relate to it. Like, we
can't comprehend.
Yeah, we can see and we can hear well.
And we can try and mask it.
So we can be,
best we can.
We're kind of like, we get the sound and we get the sight stuff. Camouflage, we get that. We hear, we get that. I don't think we comprehend what a hurdle that is, because the amount, the way that a deer can smell, or a cougar, or what you name it, a wolf, coyote. It's such an obstacle to overcome,
right?
In terms of shutting down smell, shutting down scent, that I think it's kind of a waste of time to spend your dollars there, right? It's like, at this point,
there again.
Play the wind.
Play the wind. 100%.
Play the wind.
At the end of the day, that's the best thing
Play
you
the
can
wind.
do.
Then
you can try
put
to
your dollars in
deter
making your
scent.
stuff quieter.
Yes, you can. You've always still got to play the wind.
Yeah.
There's just not a product out there.
I think it was smart. I think it's smart. I think where Sitka went with this is good, and I'm excited to see.
It's pretty cool
how
stuff.
it performs.
Yeah, fun fact on the whole smelling train and odor. So a deer can detect the odor of approaching danger several hundred yards away. Okay. Deer have 7 glands, that are used primarily for scent communication. The nose of a white-tailed deer has up to 297 million olfactory receptors. A dog has 220 million, with humans limited to just 5 million. Yeah. So when we talk about the grand scale of how much they're able to pull in and smell and detect,
right?
Humans have 5.
Yeah.
They have 297
Which means I have like
million.
2 million, I guess.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah, bro, and I think with time, as we
you're
get older,
screwed.
that goes down. But here's one thing I wanted to say real quick on what I feel like Brian touched really well on is it's the attention to detail to me.
Sure.
As I've been on my few whitetail hunts now that I've experienced the gear, is you guys thought of just about everything from how you zip.
What are the intuitive movements of a hunter
when he's in the
those
stand,
pursuits, and where should those features be?
Instead of
because
just saying, let's throw pockets here and pockets here, and let's have a zipper here,
it's
which
with
is, I think he was
purpose,
alluding to with
intent.
other brands. You guys have methodically taken yourselves into the stand, thought of every scenario, put yourselves there,
Right.
done the research. The other thing that I think is really fascinating too is the fact that the pattern is called elevated for a reason.
Right. Yes.
Most people don't know this. Cool fact, everybody. Where does a deer look if you're in a stand? Does it look straight at the tree, or does it look up at the sky? And so I had a lot of people, the reason why I want to bring this up real quick is the fact that as I went on a few of my whitetail hunts, I had a lot of comments and questions that people asked me, hey, how did the product perform? How did you like the Sitka gear? What are your thoughts on it?
Sure.
But most of them, because they're traditional twig and leaf, they said, does the pattern really work?
Yeah.
And I said, if you've ever been with your buddy who's wearing elevated and he's up in the tree and you look at him, the pattern is built that you see the sky and the twigs and everything, not the leaves and the tree, which is a completely different concept than what has been traditionally taught and believed by many in that community. So I thought that was really interesting too, because when people are like, well, it doesn't look like the bark of a tree. It's not intended to.
It's not supposed to.
Yeah.
It's not supposed to mimic. It's supposed to break up the outline of your figure.
Yep.
And here's the other key thing, especially with deer. And I'm not a scientist, I can't speak to this as well, but Dr. Carl Miller has done a ton of research on this. And he's somebody who helped us develop the elevated pattern. The way they see their spectrum of vision is they can detect movement incredibly well, a much quicker rate than we can as humans. And so a lot of it is, when they're sitting there staring a hole into you for 20 minutes and you have to, be a statue and freeze, they're trying to wait and pick up any kind of movement. And so, that pattern and those, the way those pixelated patterns are put in there with that particular color tone is for that exact reason. It's to make sure that you're disappearing up against that skyline based on what your backdrop is going to be when a deer is within archery range.
Yeah. And that's like
the whole purpose.
The whole concept.
Yeah.
And like people ask me this question too, which I just helped them answer, which is they're like, I actually made a mistake of going into a blind and wearing the full full elevated, a ground blind.
Blackout.
Right? And that was the thing that I love that you guys have shown on your site is you're like, hey, elevated and blind, because if you're going to go into a blind,
blackout.
Match your surroundings. So don't wear camo in a blind.
Right. Exactly.
Grab some Sitka solids, which you've got available in,
and you should
hoodie,
paint your
face,
so your black face.
Yeah, be careful with that.
Well, hey, Black Fanatic hoodie, face mask, boom.
Yeah, natural, unpainted. It may not affect your political career.
Anyone.
Yeah, in your future political
won't
career.
ever do the moonwalk if I have a black face.
Yeah, don't do that. But I just think that's really. I think a lot of people don't think about that. They're just like, oh, cool, it's just the pattern. I'm just going to wear it. But truly. If you're going into a ground blind, blackout. If you're up elevated in a tree,
Ryan, bear's sense of smell is 2,100 times better than that of a human.
That's crazy.
So
I don't even know what that means.
2,000. Well, take 5 million and times that by 2,000. What's that number?
Which means that they can detect an animal's carcass that is 20 miles away.
So crazy. And it's so crazy. Gotta love it, man.
And
nature's neat.
A polar bear can smell a female polar bear in heat up to 100 miles away.
Good for him. I mean, I was about to say, I feel...
Brent's like, I can do that.
Or something's wrong, because it seems like that it's always...
Yeah, that always seems to work. Bears, so they're among the top, right, of smellers.
Right.
Elephants.
Interesting. Now, I know they're incredibly intelligent.
But their sense of smell is right up there with bears, maybe higher.
Interesting. You talk about an animal that isn't, I don't want to go off on a whole another topic, but elephants.
Yeah.
Podcast for another day.
That sounds
Not sure
good.
people want to talk about it, but elephants.
Podcast for another day. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Well, I think that is controversial.
A little bit.
Yeah. So
what about waterfowl?
We as humans, we don't smell well. Oh, you mean waterfowl in terms of waterfowl gear that you make, it's really not relevant.
Yeah, I feel like, and right now, I'm just going to pull this up real quick.
Oh, gosh.
With Mr. Igetducks. Let's just see how the poll's doing. Guys, earlier today, we actually did a poll on my page, and we did it on, is big game better or is waterfowl hunting better? Right now, the poll is 76% for big game and 24%. But I feel like if you got, the Sitka page involved and maybe some of the waterfowl, maybe it would change things.
They are fanatical.
I mean, for sure.
But
without question.
That's also a big part of Sitka's, tier system as far as available for different species.
It's our fastest growing category for the brand is waterfowl. Super stoked to be a part of it. So Jim Sabier is our product line manager. I got to give credit to Jim Sabier is our product line manager for waterfowl. Chris Derrick is our product line manager for whitetail. And then obviously John Barklow is our product line manager for the big game categories. And the amount of work and time and effort they spend with our product developers like Eric Gilmore and Erica. I mean, the work they put into making these products the best of the best is absolutely incredible. So
I know just from the wader life, you guys launched waders last year, and I couldn't even buy any.
No,
I couldn't even buy any. Brian couldn't even buy any. He couldn't even get a pair. No,
I didn't know what to tell people. I'm like,
I would hate your job last year.
They gone. Oh, I was the no man. I said no a lot.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't know. Like most of that product got sold into retail and sold through very quickly as well. It's really exciting for the brand.
That's awesome.
What you got here?
Brian's pulling up some numbers of hunters in 1991 and 2016.
In 1991, you had 3 million duck hunters.
Yep.
In 2016, you have 2.4 million
This is the
duck
scary
hunters.
one to me.
Yeah, the biggest decline is definitely small game.
Small game.
Rabbits, squirrels.
Right.
It checked out.
And all these numbers align with
even birds.
everything that we're seeing too. on our end.
Even like Mearns quail.
Exactly.
Ducks have kind of held their own over the last.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a decline though in relation. You're 3 million to 2.
For sure.
So, but what I was pointing out is, which one's better? Well, we do have. I mean, the people kind of like 10 million big game hunters, 3 million duck hunters.
So you are going to lose that argument times out.
Not everybody can be that awesome. I mean, there's got to be a second. There's more second place people out there.
True.
No,
but I think
the kidding aside.
I think
Go ahead.
This group, almost all of them, also do this group.
I was about to say, because here's the beauty of it. All joking aside, at the end of the day, I consider myself a hunter of everything. If it's on this planet,
me too.
I want to learn how to be a proficient hunter. At the end of the day, and not
only that,
I'm a killer.
Not only that,
I'm not going to shy away from that.
I am ready.
I want to be a lethal weapon.
Well,
and so that may sound bad, but like once you start learning, like as I've traveled around the world and hunted different species, my learnings from pursuing those different species within those different circumstances has made me a better hunter elsewhere. You just become more and more well-rounded as a hunter as you gain knowledge from all these different pursuits.
Right.
And that everybody should strive to stretch themselves and learn. And the more different species you hunt across a wide variety of, ecosystems, you're going to get better.
Well, plus deer, elk, and moose, they kind of all start to taste the same. Seriously, like I really want to I want a little bit of duck in there. I want
some variety.
A little bit of pheasant, a little bit of chucker.
Yeah. Brian and I have had this discussion multiple times. We don't understand the mindset of an individual who is a hunter who says, I am, and we even will go sometimes as far as to say, like, I only hunt elk with a bow and that's it. I won't do anything else. And I'm sitting there going, that's awesome, dude. But I'm going to hunt elk with a bow, with a gun. Maybe I'll get a muzzleloader. Guess what? I'm going to go hunt deer and elk, and
I'm pretty sure I can do it with a spear with a GoPro attached.
Be careful.
Yeah.
Careful.
It's doable.
It's doable. It's been done. Yeah, I just wouldn't recommend it. But the other thing is that I like how you put it. I just like how you put it, which is I consider my hunter of all things and a steward of all.
Sure.
And I enjoy the pursuit as well as you do, Ryan, of hunting all kinds of different big, small, waterfowl, all kinds of species, because I've become a big fanatic of duck hunting.
It's fun.
I just started 2 years.
It's fun.
And I look forward to it now every year. We're going to go on some duck hunts this year. Cool. I love whitetail hunting. I used to actually, unfortunately, be a part of the other side that was like, whitetail hunting's stupid and just hunt elk and deer, it's harder, and spot and stock. And now I have such
challenge.
It's a different challenge, and I love the chess game that's played here.
Yeah,
as well as I like this game over here. So I'm
game of patience, game of chess. I mean, it's being able to learn how to interact and read all those animals in those different situations, giving that time period. Once you're hunting, man, there's all the variables. I love it. It's a big equation to me. How do I win?
Yeah. And I feel like you're probably going to be the guy that spearheads the new pattern for Africa. Right? Because that's probably the only continent and animals that we have left to address is like, is Sitka going to make an Africa line?
I think what you need is
for a Cape buffalo,
which is going to consist of a red cape that comes off in waves.
Especially after the discussion we had. If you guys are listening to this podcast, make sure you jump back and you listen to Ryan as he talks about an epic adventure that he had with some dangerous big game in Africa on a black death, also known as Cape buffalo. But what other questions did you have?
It's time to wrap it up.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we covered a lot.
Yeah,
we did.
It's a lot to cover.
It's a lot to cover. We scratched the surface.
It's a nice touch.
It would be cool for you guys to have some of our PLMs to come on. I know Barkley's been on before, but have those guys come on and do in-depth discussion and understanding on those product lines and specific to the pursuit. I think it'd be cool. I think people would geek out on it. It'd be cool.
This is actually something I told Harrison, and it's so funny because one of the things, you guys have become such great friends of Mountain Ops, not just on the personal level as brand and as partners. We do a lot together, and our system of beliefs, our values, our whys are very similar, where we're both striving effortlessly to create pinnacle products for our market. But I always tell people when they ask me, they're like, man, we even get the same thing, which is, you guys are a little overpriced than Walmart. And I'm like, well, the first thing you just said Walmart, so I can't even have a discussion with you because that nutrition is absolutely diluted to be able to fit a price point and a margin point for the retailer and anything.
Sure.
One of the things I always tell people, and Harrison and I were talking about this at the show, was Mountain Ops is the product that goes inside you that helps you to give you the performance that you want, and Sitka is the performance product that goes on the outside that helps to give you the sustainability, comfortability, and everything you need.
For sure.
Because you guys have also been a big believer in what we believe, which is you've even used it. You called people Sitka athletes. You've talked about building products that are form-fitting, that are more built, more durable, more performance-based, all of these things. And so that's where our partnership and friendship is so effortless, because we're telling different stories, but they're all about getting a field, going outside, staying out there longer, enjoying the pursuit, and then being able to be comfortable while you're doing it.
That's right. I like that.
So pretty neat stuff here today, guys. Thank you again, Ryan, as always.
Thanks for having me.
I feel like we're going to need you on some more.
Yeah.
So you might need to come down and get some more taxidermy later, or we can just go get stuff and then
more meetings and stuff.
More meetings and more things.
Yeah.
So I do agree with Jordan that Sitka's expensive. When you're looking at a con, when people look at pros and cons of gear, price point is the con.
Yep.
And other than that, there's not much to complain about.
And I always tell everybody, it's just like most things, you get what you pay for. And what I'm most excited about, the coolest part, just our customer service team. We stand behind the product. We're going to get people taken care of.
Well, and I would say
our team is awesome.
In response to that, I would say, because I'll do a gear dump after early season hunts, 3 or 4 gear dumps throughout the season when I think my gear has changed enough for that hunt to warrant another review, another gear dump. And I'll take my backpack and all the stuff I took on the trip, dump it on the table. It'll still have mud on it. It'll still be dirty underwear in the mix. It's just, this is what I took from food to pack. Inevitably, someone will come on YouTube and they will say, this is ridiculous. You're walking down the trail with more than $5,000 worth of gear. Or they'll throw out 10. I mean, they'll really do it. And often these guys are the same guys running a UTV, ATV, toy hauler, have this fancy house and $50,000 diesel truck and look, everybody has their priorities in life.
Exactly.
That's the bottom line.
Hey, it's America. Spend the money how you want.
Spend it how you want. I happen to like Sitka, buy Sitka. I owned Sitka before I started Gritty Bowman.
Yeah.
I owned the same bows in the same area. I bought stuff on budget lots of times from Camel Fire, all granted.
Sure.
My Sitka stuff was mismatched in color and in length, but it was still Sitka. My point is, like, you have your priorities of what you value. I happen to own a modest home by design, cars that are paid for by design, debt-free by design. Like, I've designed my life for optimal freedom and to buy things I like. I would rather forego the super legit new, I don't know, truck, whatever, and own $1,000 backpack.
Right.
It's just how I am.
Yeah, and you know what? Awesome. To each their own on that. Like, it's your money.
So Sitka gear is not for everybody. I watch the Hunting Public. Those guys are not with Sitka, by the way. But I love those guys. But I'm looking at their stuff, and I'm like, man, I would hate wearing that in the stand. It is not my jam.
And go ahead, sorry.
And for those old boys, that's perfect. That's fine. But I do me.
Here's my thing, and I know we're trying to wrap this one up, but I get engaged in these conversations a lot. I get pulled into these types of conversations, and it's this brand war and feuding. It's like, you know what, guys? At the end of the day, our big takeaway is this, and I've talked to Michael Waddell about this. As a whole, hunting license sales are down.
Yeah.
Why are we bickering within our community? If you're out hunting, freaking high five. You know what? I prefer you wear Sitka. Awesome. But if you're not, okay, dude, tell me about your hunt. Like, how was it? Like, you're hunting. That's a win. Like, we've got to support each other more. Use whatever brand makes sense for you. Awesome.
No, and it's. I think that's a really good point to end on, which is let's all get out there. Let's go hunt.
Yeah.
But if you want to prioritize your life like Brian does, then get out there and grab stuff that's going to really work for you. I'm
just telling you what I use.
Investment.
Totally.
In those shows, I'm just telling you what I use, and if it adds value and you get information from it, it helps you with your purchases, go for it. If it doesn't, change the channel.
There you go.
100%. Awesome. So where I mean, for anybody listening to the podcast today, where can people find Sitka? Where should they look to, and where can they go?
Definitely. So we've got a great website, Digital Opportunity, where you can purchase gear there. Also, we have some of the best retailers in the country, so definitely look at your local retailers as well. I mean, you can always call our customer service department if you have specific product questions. They're fantastic, incredibly educated on the entire product
Abby
line.
pick up the phone?
Well, Abby's in events now. She's up there hanging out with
up top
us.
She's moved her way up.
But we have some fantastic, incredibly knowledgeable people in
That's
customer
right.
service.
That's
So give
right.
them a
She
call.
moved on to the party team.
She's on the party planning team. Yeah.
So for everybody listening, if you guys want to go check out the company that we've been talking about today, is Sitka Gear, not a Sitka Deer. That's what Brian chased a couple months ago. SitkaGear.com for all your performance-based base layers and products that you need. Go get yourself some Sitka Gear, and remember, get sick for it. Overselling by Jordan Harbison. You can go to my website at jordanharbison.com. It doesn't exist. But maybe someday it will. But you can go to briancall.com and you can see Untamed his film. Wait, you can't yet because it's not released.
All right.
Okay, guys, it's been an awesome
Thanks.
show. Thank you,
Awesome.
Ryan.
Thanks, guys.
We out.